Hey sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Michaela Barnhart. If you are not new here, then like I said, welcome back and thank you for returning. In today's video, we have out our budget planner and we are going to be closing out our September budget and seeing how we did. Now I do want to preface this by saying I have already closed out our budget. I keep everything like a rough draft in a notebook. So I've already sat down, added everything up, and I kind of know where we are at for the month. So I'm just going to be sharing that and filling it in here now. For more of our final copy. So just so you know, I have already done it, so this will not be a raw reaction to how we've done because I've already seen it. I did go ahead, since we have not sat down and done a 4-week check-in together, or a week 4 check-in together, I went ahead and just, when I closed out, I added everything from week 4. So there's just not going to be a week 4 check-in. We're just going to wrap it all up with this. Since today is October 2nd when you guys are seeing this, it's kind of time to start our October budget. So I don't want to spend any more weeks on our September one. But yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and flip over and get right into closing out our budget. So I'm just going to close this up so that you guys can see just this page, and I'm just going to walk you through kind of how we did for the month. So if we're starting up at income, Jeremiah brought in what was expected. He actually typically brings in a little bit more than that. So his was $2,308.23, which was, spot on. Now with mine, I did not go back to work until like the very last week of September. So I did not bring in really anything. My only paycheck for the month was $359.08. So because of this, you're going to see some things that are pretty off from our normal budget. We did end up having a miscellaneous thing come in. It was some returns from doctor's offices from while I was pregnant. I had paid in, I guess, too much at some point. So they gave us a return of $96.41. So if we add all of that up, we brought home $2,763.72. Now typically I would go through over here and do the difference, but I'm not going to worry about that today, just because, like I said, I've already closed everything out and I'm not really worried about seeing the difference, since I kind of knew this was going to be a rough month for us. But yeah, so let's move on to expenses. So for our fixed expenses, things in that category were like our mortgage, our Turbinex, which is our pest control, some payments like to Lowe's for our new lawnmower we have, our furniture payments and student loan payments, things like that were all added up in there. And of course that was a fixed expense, so those were exactly what I anticipated. And then for AT&T, I had already known, what that was going to be when I made the budget. Our water bill ended up coming in at $17.66, so a little bit lower. And then so did our State Farm. It was $231.67. Our power bill was $104, so we were a little over budget there. But obviously that's not something we can help. It just kind of happens. For gas, we actually did really good. We budgeted the $300, and then we only ended up spending $232.13. So that kind of helped us out, being that we brought home less than anticipated, and you'll see that in a few other categories as well. Groceries, we were over budget on. We spent $768.84. I did end up bumping up our October budget for groceries, I think, to $700, so we'll be a little closer, hopefully, to being on budget next month. But that is that. For tobacco, Jeremiah spent $81.28. For medical, we only spent $9.20, so that was really good. Then for fund money, we were only slightly over. We spent $350.26, so definitely better than some months in the past, but still trying to rein that in some. And then here is where a big difference happened. Typically, we would put $500 to credit cards, but we did not put any, just being that I did not bring home what I typically would. We also did not put any money into savings, like our sinking funds and stuff, for this month. We actually ended up having to take some money out of savings, out of our emergency fund, to cover some things, since I was not, bringing in what I typically would, which we can see that at the end. But for unbudgeted, we did have $12 there. So then if we add all of that up, actually I'm just going to go ahead and put $0 here for other bills. If we add all of that up, we ended up spending $3,250.31, which you can see we anticipated over $4,000. So we come in pretty far under what we budgeted. It still did not make a difference because we did not come in far enough for this number to be smaller than this number. But I am proud of us that we were able to rein it in, right at $1,000 less than what we thought we would bring in, or what we thought we would spend. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm okay with that. So yeah, for our savings, I'm going to write it in red. I'm just going to use this pen and gear from Walmart pen, because we were over budget, $486.59. So just to kind of chat for a second, obviously, if we had not reined it in at all, if we had just had a typical month, we would have been way more over budget. But since we were able to do a little better this month, and like I said, we didn't put money towards sinking funds or credit cards, that kind of helped us out. So I know that people have asked in the past, when we are over budget like this, where does that money come from? So typically, if it's just a little bit over budget, like $100 or so, we have a cushion in our checking account that would cover most of the time. So it's not usually that big of a deal. But being that this was almost $500 over budget, and that I did anticipate us being over budget because obviously I was on maternity leave and I knew I was not going to be going back. Obviously I expected to go back before I did, but I knew that I was, going to be out or whatever. So we pulled money from our emergency fund to cover any bills or things like that we, knew that we were not going to be able to cover otherwise. So luckily we did have a pretty large chunk in our emergency fund at this point. So we are still, doing well there, but that is kind of where that money come from. Just in case you were wondering, or if you've ever been in a similar situation and wondered where that extra money come from, we pulled it this month from our sinking funds or from our emergency fund. But like I said, typically it would just be, extra money that would be floating around in our checking account. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or anything about what I did or just how we budget in general, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so you can stick around and see how our October budget plays out now that I am back at work. And I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye guys.